This is Darisha Vath, a 17-year-old from Rochester, Minnesota. What happened next would change these young lives forever and shake this small community to its core. It all started at 1:20 a.m. on Sunday, July 16th, at Lakeside Veterans Memorial Park in Forest Lake. What began as tension between two groups of young people boiled over into a violent confrontation. Witnesses say both sides were armed, some with baseball bats, hammers, and a crowbar. Prosecutors say 20-year-old Dylan Simmons was playing hacky sack with friends at the park that night when he sent a text message to Darisha Vath telling him to come to the park to fight. A conflict between Simmons and Vath and their respective friend groups had been brewing for about 2 years. Through records requests and extensive research, Midwest Crime has obtained exclusive footage of the incident. For the first time outside of court, here's the full story. Vath arrived in a vehicle, while Simmons and a passenger exited his vehicle wielding hammers. Vath and his friend were also armed with a baseball bat and a folding knife. A witness would later tell jurors, both sides up to this point were in the wrong. As the fight starts to wind down, Simmons and a friend head back to his car, a white Mazda sedan.
Our coverage is made possible because of sponsors like Morgan & Morgan. Over the years, we've brought you mind-boggling video of crashes like these, but what happens to the victims? Apart from sometimes serious injuries, they can face months of paperwork, enormous medical bills, and life-changing impacts. When you're seriously hurt, you could be entitled to millions of dollars in damages. Stop getting lowballed, and you could pair up with a proven winner, the largest personal injury law firm in the nation. Morgan & Morgan has a huge network of over 1,000 attorneys and offices in every state. They've won significant recent cases for victims involved in life-altering car crashes like these, like for Yvette Torres, who was hit by a Penske truck in November and had severe injuries requiring surgery and therapy. Morgan & Morgan attorneys rejected a lowball pretrial offer and were able to win Torres a whopping $11.9 million at trial. The best part? Their fee is 100% free unless you win. It only takes a few minutes to see if you have a case. Remember, not all law firms are the same, and Morgan is the biggest for a reason. They win a lot. You can start your claim now by going to forthepeople.com/MidwestCrime or find the link in the video description.
Simmons drives toward the crowd, narrowly missing the group standing just inches away. He crashes into the rear of Vath's vehicle, nearly running over someone's foot and brushing against someone else's leg. Simmons backs up and accelerates again, this time hitting Vath's sister, 17-year-old Darisha, driving over her with both front and rear tires before speeding away. Now, for the first time, we bring this exclusive footage to the public from 3 perspectives.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Darisha.
Oh! Oh! I got them on camera!
You gotta go, bro. You gotta go.
Moments later, police and paramedics arrive. They rush to provide emergency medical aid to Darisha as she lies in the parking lot.
Force like 3434, the RP is not with the group, it's only seeing it from a distance. Female is not breathing, RP didn't see what direction the vehicle left, it's fully focused on the person.
Copy.
34 copy, just looking for me, got him health en route.
Copy, we have them en route.
Force like 3434, CPR in progress.
Please. No, please. Oh, please.
Stay with me.
Here, I'm gonna switch out with you, okay?
Despite their efforts, she had multiple fractures and a traumatic head injury. Darisha died at the scene shortly after rescue crews arrived. A medical examiner later ruled her death was a homicide. Simmons and his passenger quickly drove away, but they didn't get far. The passenger called someone still at the scene who was speaking with an officer. They convinced Simmons to return back to the scene. Simmons eventually drove back and turned himself in, and admitted to officers that he knew he'd struck the victim. This surveillance camera video gave prosecutors the evidence they needed to upgrade Simmons' charges to second-degree murder, with 3 counts of second-degree assault added to the case.
A family in Forest Lake is grieving the loss of a 17-year-old girl.
Police say that someone intentionally hit and killed her during a fight at a park this weekend. 20-year-old Dylan Simmons appeared in court for the first time today after Washington County prosecutors charged him with third-degree murder and vehicular homicide.
Simmons's trial started in December 2024, but it wasn't long before tensions turned the quiet courthouse into chaos. Two families, one seeking justice, the other claiming innocence. During the first day of the trial, both sides shouted at each other outside the courtroom and a hole was punched in the wall. With the fighting continuing over lunch at a Carboni's Pizza near the courthouse.
I just want him to pay for his crime. Like, he's admitting that he hit her, but he's not admitting that he did it on purpose.
He's right, despite prosecutors saying Dylan Simmons intentionally tried to hit people with his car, killing Bailey Vath. Simmons' mother is speaking out for the first time, saying her son is a good kid and did not mean to hit her.
Well, first and foremost, I want to start out by saying that our hearts and prayers go out to Darisha's family, the Bailey Vath family. They've suffered a tremendous loss. I'm not saying I don't think he should do any time. I think what I'm saying is he's not a murderer. What they're trying to throw at him is crazy to me.
The two groups had been fighting. Waldo says her son was terrified when it was all unfolding at Lakeside Veterans Memorial Park.
His car was surrounded by multiple kids beating on the car with a bat. He freaked out. He was scared. He put it in drive. There was people in front of the car and some jumped out of the way, and unfortunately she didn't. And like I said, it's so sad. I think he should do what's just and fair, which is not 32 years, not his life. Like, I just don't.
But as far as prison time, how long is enough?
I want him to do the rest of his life because we lost a life. He should spend the rest of his life in prison.
After a 5-day trial, the jury reached its verdict. Simmons was found guilty of second-degree murder without intent, and he was acquitted of the charge of second-degree murder with intent. Jurors found him guilty of criminal vehicular homicide and 3 counts of second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon. Simmons remains jailed in Washington County ahead of his sentencing, set for March 20th, 2025. A judge will ultimately determine Simmons' fate. He is facing up to 40 years in prison. For Darisha's family, the verdict brought a measure of justice, but they still feel the pain of her loss. This part of their legal battle may be over, but the scars of that night remain.
My daughter is gone. I'm never gonna see her again. I'm never gonna be able to hold her. I'm not gonna see her graduate.
Now they can only remember a young woman who was excited to graduate high school next spring with big dreams of becoming a veterinarian.
I miss her so much. I miss her so much. I miss my best friend and my baby sister so much.
For an extended version of this video, along with uncensored raw bonus clips and access to premium content, please consider supporting Midwest Crime on Patreon from just $5 a month. Head to patreon.com/MidwestCrime to join.